Guys, we're here. We're back. How are you all today? Alex?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm very good. Great race in Formula One today. Daniel, how are you?
Good. I'm happy to have the five of us here.
The five of us. Who's the fifth person? First off, Mike is here. Hello, Mike. You're happy that you're here with us today.
Howdy, it's always a pleasure.
Exactly.
He sounds so ecstatic to be on the
Man,
podcast.
I like you're giving me attitude right to start off the bat. Like,
I mean, when you're 27 minutes late and then you hop on, you're like, I need 5 minutes to fix my AirPod.
AirPod life, like it's hard. Like,
So, Daniel, who you going on about a fifth person? I'm very confused.
Yeah.
You said the five of us.
Oh, I assumed the panda would be with us today.
It's
And he is. There he is. There's Robin Leonard.
I
There's
thought
in the background,
the sword
too.
thing was funny with Alan Walsh. He said, okay. So we got a bit of a special episode with here and Mike today. Good guy. We're going to do the third annual 2-on-1 podcast way too early season award show of honor and prestige. We will be looking at the following awards. The MVP, or as we call it, the 2-on-1 podcast MVP award of supreme honor and privilege. The title changes every time we talk about it, to be honest. The Selkie, the Norris, which on this award show is the best offensive defenseman. We have what we call the Fulton Reed Trophy for the defensive defenseman of the year. The Vezina, the goal scoring title, the scoring title, rookie of the year, coach of the year. We're going to look at our each of us are going to give our biggest letdown, who we think is going to be, player or team. We're also going to look at the breakout player of the year. We may, if we have time, all of us quickly look at and try and put together what we think the standings are going to look like. And because Mike is here, we are also going to do the second annual 2-on-1 podcast off-season ranking and seeing if teams are going to be good or bad or not.
called a tier list.
The tier list. Sorry, yeah.
My idea, remember? My genius idea.
Yeah.
So that I can take over your pod.
Yeah, I mean, one of many schemes you have in the work here. So I thought to quickly look here, Mike, before the show with the lads, I decided to quickly show them a little something, and I will do the same for you as I get it ready. And that is, I want to show you our tier list, you may remember, from last season.
Oh wow.
Yep. So
did you take a screenshot of this?
no, so when you make an account on this tier listing, it saves the stuff you've done.
Wow.
So
It brings back so much nostalgia.
So we christened from the bottom up. We had the just a disaster tier being Arizona and Vancouver. Taking a step back, we had Pittsburgh and St. Louis. The status quo teams, we had Florida, Boston, Philly, the Islanders, Chicago, San Jose, Dallas, LA, the Capitals, Carolina, Minnesota, Nashville, Columbus. The teams we said took a step forward is hilarious. Calgary, Anaheim, Winnipeg, the Oilers, New Jersey, and Buffalo. We said the
I think we totally jinxed Buffalo.
Oh yeah, we
did.
canned
For
them.
sure.
We canned them. I remember when I had them making the playoffs, and Alex and I had Boston missing, and we were just silly. The fabulous tier, we had the Leafs, Tampa, Detroit, the Rangers, and Ottawa, and we made the champions of the offseason, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Montreal Canadiens. Some of those teams had good years on this list. Some of them are going to be a lot lower down, Montreal. But guys, we start the new year. The new year. Seattle is here. The tiers are the same, except I just made it step forward and step back. I changed the colors up a bit to make it look a little fancy.
Why don't we change just a disaster to just like dumpster fire?
Because we're not urinating tree, Mike. We can't do that. So, shall we start then?
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. First off, we'll go alphabetically.
Okay.
The Anaheim Ducks, who have not made a move in 2 years.
I wish there was like a 5 steps back.
But have they changed? Like, what?
No.
Seriously, what have the Ducks done?
Nothing.
Mason McTavish.
They extended Nick Deloria, didn't they? And that was about it.
And they re-signed Getzlaf for
they
a year.
And Buddy Robinson. Don't
They
forget
lost-
Buddy
I was going to say
Robinson.
Buddy Robinson.
And they lost
Forget it.
legend David Backes.
If we look at their cap friendly, there is just nothing notable that they have done. So, like, what do you rank them as? And why is it not? Why is the tier list not up? That's awkward. I'm going to fix that quickly. If you guys want to quickly discuss, where should we put Anaheim?
I mean, to me, it seems like status quo because they're not getting better. And I don't necessarily think they're going to get worse because they haven't put themselves in a position to get worse.
I think another thing too is that we got to clarify. We're doing this without, except for Seattle, technically, we're doing this without the draft, right? Like we're not factoring the draft in this because we did that last year, right?
Yeah, I mean, like unless we think that Mason McTavish is going to play in the NHL next year.
I just mean just dead on forward for the rest of these, just to clarify.
No, did we not have the draft? Because I thought that's why we gave. Because isn't that what went into Arizona being awful? And like we had the Rangers up, and I feel like part of that was like Lafreniere.
We should have listened to the episode before this.
No, I don't think we. No. I don't think we. I think we specifically said last year that it wasn't Lafreniere. It was just the bevy of moves they.
Okay,
I don't know. You know what, Adam? You control the ship here.
Then,
I'm not taking.
How about this? We'll ignore the draft picks, but if there was obviously a deal made around the draft, like then that. But yeah, but it's going to be difficult when we talk about Arizona because technically their roster is a mess. And, they've moved on from Dvorak amongst other skilled players. But what's difficult with Arizona is first actually
does this mean we're status quoing?
So yeah, I think Anaheim. It's like they are the same team.
If you want to share your screen again.
I think it's a positive that they re-signed Getzlaf for a year so that they can flip him. But that's not enough to make you step forward until something were to happen. And that's if they flip him, and in which case Daniel will be sad, but he will understand.
Yeah.
So looking at Arizona, guys, they are the weird part with talking about Arizona is, they're tearing everything down. The roster-wise, they're going to be awful. Though it is the work to accumulate draft picks. If we ignore who they selected, like Dylan Gunther isn't going to make the team this year, or highly unlikely. But you do wonder.
He made the team with our team, though.
Yeah, he did in our NHL franchise. Great player. Also part of my Nashville one. Multiple Stanley Cup champion, Dylan Gunther. Anyway, but you look at Arizona, and it's like, where do they go with all of the picks they've stockpiled? Because obviously on the ice, they're bad. They're a bottom 5 team. Like, I don't think we can question that. And they have a rookie head coach to hold them together with Andre Tournier.
I'm going to go on a whim here. And I just based on the fact that we threw them in the just a disaster thing that tier last year, I think that merits the fact that, on the ice, they're not going to be better. But if we're going with just a disaster in the current state of the team, I'd say they have definitely taken a step forward because of the fact that they fleeced Vancouver and are just have a cupboard of first and second rounders for next year. Mm-hmm. So I just say, because I'm saying if we're making it based on, like, if we're talking about team wise, like team personnel, how they're going to be on the ice, awful. But like they did take a step forward in their rebuild. Yeah. So I don't know about y'all, but that's kind of how I'm basing it.
They have 8 picks in the first 2 rounds in the 2022 NHL draft. 8 picks.
Yeah. They have 5 second-round picks.
That's ridiculous. I agree with Mike. I'd put them in step forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course you would.
I think they're not trying to build a winner anymore. They're actually knowing we're bad. We need to draft. We're not trying to get people like Phil Kessel anymore or Nick Schmaltz.
Okay. Then
speaking of Kessel, I think that's a topic you said was for later.
Yeah. Well, we could quickly mention it now. Friedman said there is some interest around Phil Kessel. He put out like this baby blog. And if he starts the season hot, there's pretty well to say that there could be teams in on trying to get Phil Kessel. So, you do wonder, like, off the top of your head, like, okay, so who are some teams that are going to need scoring? And you're like, what's his cap at, around $6 million now?
6.8.
$6.8 million. So, you could probably think that there's someone out there. Like, I wonder if Pittsburgh, I don't think Pittsburgh are going to bring him in, but you think of Pittsburgh, Malkin's going to be gone a while. Maybe they bring in another scorer. Obviously, you'd want a centerman, but, stuff like that. Boston, the big move here And I think back to when we talked about Philly last year, Mike had a really good point about losing Matt Niskanen and how that sort of probably affected the Flyers.
It's literally the biggest thing that ever happened to the Flyers to screw them over.
Yeah, great. It's fantastic. So the thing with Boston is they had a good offseason when they bring in a goalie. They bring in Allmark, obviously. They bring in Foligno, they re-sign Taylor Hall. But how much of an issue is the fact that they've lost David Krejci?
It's going to be an issue.
Exited Nika's time to shine.
Because who's in that second line center role now?
It should be Charlie Coyle.
Oh yeah, and he's
or Nick Foligno.
Or Nick Foligno, yeah.
How consistent? Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Okay, I think first off they got to keep Taylor Hall on a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
I'd say, and I know everything. I'm kidding, but honestly, I think it kind of offsets itself because they re-signed Taylor Hall to a pretty good deal, and they replaced, even though he was not bad except for the playoffs, they replaced Jarro Halak with with Linus Ullmark, because Tuukka Rask is obviously his future is up in the air with his injury and because he's still technically unsigned. But Linus Ullmark is a hell of a goalie. I think he'll do much better here than he in Boston than he could in Buffalo. And Foligno, he brings not only just grit and intangibles, but he also brings flexibility because he can play center or wing. Mm-hmm. So I think it kind of offsets the fact that they did lose a big piece in David Krejci, who, don't forget, David Krejci is getting old. Yeah, he's getting hella old. Yep. The guy, he has made a remarkable career out of not being a good skater, a great skater, an NHL caliber skater, really, with just the way he can see the ice and still always be in perfect position. And the fact that he can rip a puck pretty well too, that always helps. Yeah. So I'm in a rock and hard place between status quo and step back, but I think I'll status quo him. I don't know about y'all.
I put them in status quo too, and then
I think there's arguments for both. If you guys say either, I completely agree with either.
I looked at step back, but the thing for with Boston is their defense also kind of stayed the same after losing Char and Krug.
Their bottom six is still basically lacking.
They gave Derek Forbort $3 million.
Yeah, they gave Derek Forbort $3 million for 3 years, and Mike Riley $3 million for 3 years. So it's just they didn't necessarily improve. I don't necessarily think they took steps back on the back end.
I must argue some of their bottom six has improved just by, you think all of a sudden they brought in Eric. I didn't know they brought in Eric Haula. That was under the radar.
And Tomas Nosek, underrated.
And Nosek too. That was another guy who's going to.
That guy's so pesky. Tomas Nosek is so pesky.
Exactly. It's really weird that Vegas and him couldn't work something out. Them losing him and Reeves, identity wise, it's weird for Vegas. But you think those guys arguably is. That second line center thing is a problem, but Boston have that next man up mentality and culture so ingrained in that team. You do wonder also though, and I think we can kind of mention it in passing here, the fact that Patrice Bergeron has said that he will play out this year and evaluate his future from there. Last year of his deal, I should say. So I don't want to say that they've taken a step back because there are parts of their roster that have improved. Plus, not to mention, even in that, Jeremy Swavin's another young guy who can replace Yaroslav. But yeah, I don't think they've gotten better necessarily. So I'm good with status quo as well. Okay, cool.
What were you, Dan? I didn't hear your answer.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Krejci has been a factor in the past, but not really the same now. And they always figure out a way to do something. There's a lot of vets on that team, but there's guys that you could really put into your top nine. We didn't mention Craig Smith. He could be a factor too. We don't know.
There are some factors that I don't even need mentioning because they're already it's like saying Wayne Gretzky is the best player, second best player behind Craig Smith to ever played the game. Everyone knows that. Best American.
I just wanted to say it because we didn't mention him all episode.
All-star Craig Smith.
If Bergeron goes, then Craig Smith should be getting that seat, obviously. Like, forget McAvoy or Pasternak or Marchand, I'm just saying.
Immediately Craig Smith.
Yeah, Craig. Okay. Carolina. They took a step back because Nedeljkovic, Mrazek, Reimer, all gone.
Because they wake up on another side of the bed every single day, apparently.
So they lose arguably the best defenseman, if at worst one of the best, in Dougie Hamilton. They lose all their goalies and bring in Ranta and Anderson, who are just
a lot of money.
Bones, yeah. And speaking of a lot of money, they give it to Jesperi Kotkaniemi in the offer sheet for a year. I just think they bring in Tony DeAngelo, which will, as controversial as that is.
Complicated addition.
Yes. So again, Sarah Sivian has a really interesting piece to The Athletic about that signing people should read. But he'll fit some of that offensive role needed for Dougie, but the defensive side of the ice, no. So I don't really think it's
they brought in another Rangers legend. Don't forget Derek Stepan.
I did not know they had done that.
Yeah, same here.
Off season has just been like, did you know this happened? No.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm here.
I'm a bit biased. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Mike didn't actually need the topic list because he knows everything, so he did it. I'm pretty sure it's fine to say that Carolina. I'm biased because I'm still not over that offer sheet, but step back.
Yeah,
you're pissed off.
Yeah, it's definitely a step back in especially in the D and in goalies, because they brought in two goalies who, in recent years, have dealt with plenty of injuries.
Yeah.
And then they lost.
An understatement.
What?
It's an understatement. Dealt with plenty of injuries.
Yeah, it's an understatement. And then D, they tried replacing Dougie Hamilton by bringing in Tony DeAngelo, Ethan Bear, and Ian Cole.
Not to mention that they actually genuinely can't make any moves because they're so cap strapped now. But they also, because now that they've basically filled that cap sheet up with Kotkaniemi, the only way they have money to work with now is because they're going to put Jake Gardner on LTIR, but that gives you barely any savings to anything saved there to get a depth player. So it's weird, right? We were talking about it because you're willing to pay Kotkaniemi 6.1, but you won't pay. You just won't even you'll just let Dougie walk. Even though they did send him an offer that was crumbs to what he made.
They sent him the Torrey Krug offer.
Yeah. And yet, same thing. They can't pay Nedeljkovic 3.5.
Well, it's not that they can't, it's that they didn't want to. It's
which
that's
is weird.
which is, I think, the more confusing part. If they couldn't, I think we would be sitting here saying, you know what, that's fair. Half the NHL doesn't want to pay their players.
Yeah.
But that the fact that they don't want to, and that they're setting their restrictions, they're restricting themselves. There's a consensus that, Alex Nedeljkovic, we don't necessarily know what he is. We just saw he's had a really good year this year, and he's done well in the past. But
they shook up their D. They brought in Ethan Bear, they brought in Tony D, and they brought in another Rangers legend in Brendan Smith. But that's not enough to outdo. Like I told you, if there's a defenseman that can shoot from the point, literally, this is an odd comparison, but Dougie Hamilton has that just that crazy kind of Matthews type curl and drag shot that he does while he's walking the line at the point that I think is just bar none in the league.
It's so good. It's so otherworldly. Someone thinks it's illegal, and that's why there are sirens off to arrest Dougie Hamilton right now.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
It's weird. This used to be a team we used to compliment for the way they dealt with contracts.
Can we talk about for some reason they technically have that they acquired Sebastian Aho via offer sheet when they
That's funny.
Okay, yeah, they basically got a free pass for that, but yes, acquired via offer sheet.
That technically means that if it's not drafted, that means he was still a Hab for 6-7 days. Never forget. Okay, yeah. Okay, step back. Chicago, controversial moves they were. A lot of money on the way out. AKA hello there, Seth Jones, amongst others. They bring in Tyler Johnson, pretty decent player. You may have heard of him.
You heard of a certain goalie?
Yeah, Mike. Freaking, I'm going there, man. I know that. Shut up. And then obviously the big thing is, you may have heard of it. They traded that, again, Alan Walsh didn't even remember his name, that Hakkarainen guy for Marc-Andre Fleury, the reigning defending.
And don't forget the extended Brendan Hagel. Boom.
I don't know who that is. They also brought in Caleb Jones for anyone who wonders. I think it's fair to say that the Blackhawks, listen, it's a lot of money, but is it too far off to put them in fabulous because of the money spent, especially when you got Fleury for nothing?
No, because they're also a garbage organization dealing with stuff interiorly.
And there it is. Yeah.
I'll say step forward.
I'll say step forward. I would never say fabulous.
Yeah, no.
Because of the looming cloud over them.
If the looming cloud wasn't there, I'd put them in fabulous, but that's a real damper.
I'm also
on
just
their
really
off-season.
I also find it very weird too, because like they're not trying to rebuild. Because I get it, you have Kane and Taves on that team as long as you can, but they're like trying to just like inject adrenaline into this supposed rebuild like that.
It was a rebuild for like a year.
I wonder
literally, and then they're like, anyways, we got Seth Jones, mortgaged 2 first-rounders. Like this looks like a Mike Jagisar trade.
Yes. We after Chicago, we've got like 27 teams, so we might want to pick her up a bit here. But can we all agree? Step forward then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Step forward works.
If you're someone at home and you would just put them in disaster because of the Aldridge stuff, we wouldn't blame you.
I would not blame you either.
So Colorado are a bit of an interesting team in the fact that they lost Grubauer, but they brought in Kemper. You would expect some of their younger defensemen, they're going to get a bit more of a shot. With Adam Graves leaving, not Adam Graves, Ryan Graves. I think it's fair to say Colorado are very much status quo. I don't think they're, even if losing Brandon Saad, I don't think they're taking a step back the way Tampa would be, if I'm just trying to explain my thought process here.
Well, because they also have young guys, right? Like prominent young guys who could come up. Whereas Tampa, the young guys who come up aren't necessarily always as known per se. So I just think from that standpoint, that's why I'd say there's more of a, I'm fine with saying status quo with Colorado because there's a guy like Alex Newhook who could come in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know Darcy Kemper only has 1 year left. Well,
yeah.
Daniel, I think you'll like this one, but they did sign Darren Helm.
yes.
They also have given Jack.
World Junior legend Darren Helm.
So are you guys good with status quo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The Blue Jackets, I mean, step back. I mean, they've started their rebuild very, very well, but I mean, they've traded everyone except Zach Werenski and like Boone Jennings.
Yeah.
Oscar Bjorkstrand.
Yes.
Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Do you remember that list that I sent you, Adam, of coaches on the hot seat or GMs on the hot seat?
I do not. Sorry.
Oh, I might have sent it to Alex, but they were like saying basically a list of GMs on the hot seat. What the heck is going on? Oh. Okay, yeah, they're saying basically a list of GMs on the hot seat. And for some reason I feel like this is interesting, but they put Kekalainen like as one of the coaches on the hot seat.
I think he's been one of the more, that's a guy, especially with Davidson coming in to sort of help, that's a guy I feel like more than anything has secured his job with how well his offseason has gone.
I think he has the trust of the owner.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be on the hot seat because, I mean, it's not his fault that the city of Columbus or whatever is like deterring people from wanting to go there because they want to go to the bright lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I find it hard to believe he's on the hot seat. Just
Yeah.
just because they're okay with going through the rebuild. If they weren't okay, if they didn't trust Jarmo Kekalainen, they would have brought someone else in by now.
I mean, it was an interesting move to swap Atkinson for Voracek, but I don't know. Would you guys take Atkinson over Voracek?
Yeah, see, that's a tough. Like, have we seen the real Voracek the past couple of years, or is he too old past? Like the thing with
I honestly think it'll work out for Voracek more because the guy wanted out for a while.
Atkinson was like Mr. Columbus. Like that guy.
Yeah, I know that's a thing.
A bank for 20 to 30 goals, and he was like a feisty little guy. Personally, like I was shocked by it. Yeah, I would probably, if I'm Columbus, would rather Atkinson. If I'm Philly, even if it's a bit longer term, I take the lower cap hit of Atkinson. But anyway, we can agree on step back though. But like they have their future in place. Like they have a good draft. I think they're obviously not part of it, but just saying like the picks they've done like a less version of Arizona when it comes to stockpiling draft picks. Dallas. Next, they re-signed Heiskanen, which was really big. I don't think anyone knows exactly what the condition of Ben Bishop is in. Like Dallas are so difficult to sort of narrow down because they had a disaster of a season last year with COVID and, sort of the disasters that were going on in Dallas. Tyler Seguin played like 3 hockey games last year. And like looking at their main roster, not a lot has changed except for hello there, Braden Holtby. And for some reason, Ryan Suter got a long-term deal at 40.
Yeah, I didn't get that one.
Why?
I mean, he's still good. It's just 4 years.
Like, go ahead.
No, that's going to take him until 40 years old.
Yeah. So what's weird here is if we say Bishop is out for the year, you've got a Holtby-Khudobin pairing, which, yeah, I think the Holtby ship has sailed.
Holtby and Khudobin at least can help out with kind of working side by side with Jake Ottinger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who they just want to stuff in the AHL for another year.
Yeah, no.
Much to his chagrin. Beside that, like the forward group hasn't really changed notably. Hi, Luke Glendening. When did you get?
I was going to say Luke Glendening and Michael Raffel.
Yeah, great. Talk about the definition of a fourth line player is both of them. So like I find it difficult to really place where Dallas are because of what happened. I don't know where they are anymore. You can't. It's very difficult to look back and is the 2020 bubble team that made the finals, or is this the normal stars of every year that might squeak in or they get bounced in the first round? And Tyler,
but that 2020 team that made the final should not have made the final.
Yeah,
but they did. Well, I mean, that's the story of most the other half of the finals matchups the past couple of years.
Like the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. We'll get to them.
Okay, so status quo?
I would put them in status quo. I agree with Dan.
Yeah, I mean, they make some dumb moves like Suter for that many years.
Yeah.
And then they make some moves that aren't exactly dumb, but just like not really impactful. Like Yanni Hakanpää and Hakanpää.
They want Team Finland's defense.
Glendening. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll throw them in status quo.
Okay. Looking at Detroit, I mean, they brought in Nick Leddy. Since the last time we did this tier list, I don't think this really counts towards it, but they bring in Jacob Vrana.
They fleeced Carolina.
Yeah, for Alek Nedeljkovic. I think it's like, listen, let's remember where Detroit are for a second here. We're not going to say they're the third best front office, like the Athletic sort of fan votes have sort of put them in, because the vision is so important. I think it's safe to say that Detroit have taken a step forward, but I don't want to say they're they're still going to be a bottom 10, maybe 5 team,
I'm still wait and see with them because they're going to have a lot of young guys coming up, and I want to just see how that meshes up first because in addition to the other guys that have been coming so far, I want to see a full Philip Zadina season and just see okay, was that actually a solid pick? Like
think of this, Nedeljkovic, is he going to have as good a year as Bernier did in Detroit last year? Obviously, if you want to say who will end up being the better goalie, we know what Bernier is after all these years. Nedeljkovic is just starting out. But I mean, you got to ignore like what is that performance going to look like on a team with probably the defense is definitely a step back from Carolina. So like I'm cool to say they took a step forward because I thought they brought in some nice pieces, but they didn't have the off season of Kings.
They didn't have this off season like they did the year before.
Like they made some great moves, but at the same time, the Leddy was a cap dump because the Islanders weren't needed to re-sign guys.
Oh.
Like they were, I think Yzerman was smart in taking advantage of other teams that were making moves for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but like I think I'm going to put them in step forward if you guys are cool with that.
yes,
Yeah, step forward works.
The Panthers, aka they bring in Reinhart, Spencer Knight. Looks to be, part of that tandem next year. They move some stuff like Anton Stroman out to, some shore up some cap flexibility for some moves. I'll get up their exact roster in a second here. But first off, while we're just getting this set up, let's have the debate again here now that Mike is here, and I think he started to recover from the first round exit. Who is going to have a better?
Don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not saying who's going to win third or something in the Atlantic here. Who is going to have a better year points-wise next year? Is it the Panthers or is
Florida Panthers? Florida Panthers.
Yeah,
And why do you say that?
Because the other team sucks.
Okay, well. And,
Which I think I already know what the other team you're going to say. I didn't even have to hear what team it was. I already know the team sucks. They have nothing. They're a terrible organization with terrible management, and they suck, and I hate them. So
Okay,
I don't know what you. I'm
Toronto
not a fan. I'm not a fan of that team. So.
Yeah, but you're gonna watch the documentary and you really like Mitch Marner.
I don't really like Mitch Marner.
I mean, your tweet would say otherwise.
I said I am down for him to have a rebound, a bounce back. Why are we doing Leafs talk in yeah? You know what? That's typical Alex. Typical.
I was even the one who brought them up.
Selfish.
So the Panthers took a
Selfish.
step forward with Reinhart adding.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, they did.
Plus the Bennett
They did.
contract's not too bad.
Plus the what deal? Sorry.
The Bennett contract.
Mm-hmm.
Zito did a lot of very clean, very safe extension work, but
Dude, he's a good GM.
Yeah, Huberdeau and Barkov though are going to be the real test for him though.
The only one I look at and be like, I don't know, is Carter Verhaeghe.
Whoa, Alex.
If he could fit,
Relax.
he can. Yeah, we'll see. Okay.
That's it. That's
I like Carter Verhaeghe. I think don't get me wrong. He was also playing with Barkov this year, which kind of helps things.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah, we go to the Oilers. Now this is a complicated one. So their goaltending is the same. They haven't re-signed Kyle Yamamoto yet, as we know. They made some moves on defense, aka they extended Darnell Nurse for next year. They brought in Duncan Keith. Guys like Caleb Jones, Ethan Bear are all gone. It's hard to rate exactly where Edmonton are here for me.
Did you purposely leave out Cody Ceci?
No, I forgot about it.
I thought you.
Did you say Zach Hyman?
I did not say Zach Hyman either. But Zach Hyman is there.
Look, I'm going to go on a whim here. Yeah, they made some moves like re-signing, severely overpaying Mr. Darnell Nurse. And they also re-signed Zach Hyman to a contract that will be pretty decent in the early part of it, but that will be just awful in the long term. But at the same time, they're still actively playing Mike Smith next year alongside Mikko Koskinen and Alex Stalock.
Mm-hmm.
That is always just, and on top of that, they add freaking Cody Ceci on top of the money that they give Tyson Barrie. I understand that they made moves like getting Zach Hyman and re-signing Darnell Nurse, even though it was a drastic overpayment that comes into effect next year. And, you also still have the best player in the world, but that is not going to take away the fact for me that they honestly did those moves and did not go out and get a goalie.
So, yeah.
Even if they got somebody like Braden Holtby, I know it's hard because it's interconference, but even if they did something dumb like that, oh my God, I hate this Siri. It still would have been more and it still would have been better than the fact that they're banking on Mike Smith being Mike Smith the savior.
So
once again,
well, how about we break it down like this? Goaltending is status quo. It's the same.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I would argue their defense is
Confusing. I don't know.
Worse.
It's so what have they what's
They
really
got rid of Ethan Bear for Warren Fogle.
Yeah, they spent more money, but they got worse on defense.
so if they get Yamamoto up, I think they're better on offense because they brought in Fogle and Hyman, and we can't ignore how important Hyman's going to be for them. Like that changes their offense like nothing. Like their top six is pretty gross. It's just I wonder how the hell they're going to sign Yamamoto with $3 million cap space. But like it seems like okay, they got better on offense, the same in goal, and then their defense is just a mess. So where do you put them? They're such an up and down team.
I don't even know. Like, I don't know if goaltending is the same because Mike Smith is 39 years old.
Yeah,
That's the worrisome part for me is that both the Mikko Koskinen is just Mikko Koskinen, and Mike Smith is a year older.
and to put in perspective, yeah, he's also 39, and he had a good regular season. But then the rest of the team did, but he sucked in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
They got swept.
So where are you guys trying to put them here then?
I'd say step back.
I want to put them in step back.
I
Also,
want to.
keep in mind, it's 82 games next season for Mike Smith.
Yep. And they're not even in there, like, for better or for worse. They're back in the Pacific, which is top heavy.
So we're gonna put the team that added Zach Hyman, Warren Fogle, and that into step back. Not even status quo. We're gonna put them into step back.
That's how.
Do you guys have a hot take button over here?
Yes.
I'm gonna be the one to say I thought they took a step forward in a single step, but if it's 3-1, it's 3-1. We're gonna get slack for that. The Islanders.
I don't feel bad.
I don't feel bad either. Because
you
at the end of the day, I know everything about hockey. So
the Islanders are like the most status quo team ever. It's like they lost Eberle, but then Palmieri is basically the replacement for that. They're
Zach Parise.
Yeah, but like Parise is like a bottom 6 player at this point. Like
Best, worst kept secret in the league.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just I love how he's.
Yeah, see, I just saw that too. He's there, but he's not.
Those of you who are watching the YouTube version of this, so under cap friendly, Zach Parise is under the Islanders cap friendly page, but he's just UFA. With this time of the year, like normally, like you reach a certain point of the year when like it shows a difference or the way it's projected. Yeah, it's just weird because everyone knows he's there. But like the defense, like Noah Dobson's going to get a bigger shot next year. Yeah. Obviously, like to the Adam Pelech deal and all that. And beside that, I mean, like
Etobicoke's finest.
The Islanders are the only team in the league that can stay the way they are, and you still trust them to be as good as they were.
The definition of status quo.
The thing is with Lou Lamoriello is that he signs guys, but then he just doesn't announce it. Like he probably has like the contract and he just stuffs it in like his filing cabinet in his office because he's definitely a guy that still uses paper, and he's just like he kills trees. But he definitely just has like a shelf of all these different signings that he's made, and he's like, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll announce it eventually. Yeah.
So status quo.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I want to double check this team first because I want to put them in fabulous, but I'm wondering if it's just for one move and I'm forgetting some other ones. So
Los Angeles.
So looking at the LA Kings on defense, sure, you brought in Alex Edler. Okay, that's very cool. I'm happy for you there. I think the Kings are weird. I want to put them in fabulous for now. Because right now, I'm looking at some of the teams here, and I'm not 100% if we have a champion of the offseason yet. So I'm wondering if we choose a team from fabulous, because I look at the Kings and I'm like, okay, you don't need to make a move in goal because Pettersson's the guy there and Quick will be the guy behind him.
Pettersson?
Cal Peterson. Sorry.
He's American, not Swedish.
Listen. It feels like if you're a hockey player and your first name starts with J, no one pronounces it anymore. Is it Jacob Voracek or is it Jacob Voracek? I don't know, and I don't want
Jakob.
Jakob, even though he's from Ontario. least I think he is. He's Canadian at least. But anyway, but then you look at some of the moves they made up front, aka hello there, Philip Deneau, who is a massive add to them, and they bring in Victor Barbertson.
How do you feel about that?
We'll get to that in a second. Hold on. And then they also extend Alex Iafallo to a really, really good deal. I like the move for the Kings. I love Phil Deneau. You know that. I think he is again, if Deneau accepts the fact that he's going to be a third line center in a few years, that's cool. But you know me, they have the best defensive center in the world. Sorry, they just do. Barkov is obviously Barkov is probably the best all-around player, but pure defense, no one's better than Phil Deneau, and you can't change my mind about that.
Oh, I thought you say Anze Kopitar.
They may have defensively the best 1-2 center depth in the league now. I really want to put LA in fabulous by Dr. Gary Gould.
I could think about it in that way because a lot of the young guys too that they've been hoarding are all coming up, and they've been pretty okay. They've been pretty
excited to see Byfield start making an appearance.
Oh yeah,
Gabe Velarde's past the injuries.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I think.
See what Turcotte does if he gets in there.
I mean, even Edler's not a bad add to that D. He's not being paid a mountain like he was in Vancouver, so.
So are we cool?
I'm good with fabulous.
Okay, cool. Dan, Mike.
Yes, it's fabulous.
Well, Mike, you're outvoted 3-1 anyway. So
yeah, I know I'm outvoted 3-1. So sure, go for it.
Are you going to put them in step forward?
Yeah,
I mean,
but I feel like we need to populate the tier list, so I'm okay with fabulous.
Yeah, Iafallo and Arvidsson and all that. I think they have a pretty decent top 6. Okay, here's the problem with Minnesota. Kaprizov isn't signed yet.
That is true.
So you look at Minnesota, and obviously they lose Carson Sousa.
Minnesota
was a pretty, that's a bit of a damaging move.
Guy's a giraffe.
Yeah, they bought out Ryan. Yeah, they bought out Suter and Parise. They do sign Eric Sinek to that. I love that contract so much. It's so good.
I feel so uncomfortable when you say it like that.
It's such a nice deal for your center. Oh my God!
I'm leaving.
Center for $5.2 million for 8 years, and he's only 24. Oh, it's such a good deal. I don't think you can. I think until Kaprizov is signed, I don't think. Even so, I would put Minnesota in status quo. Because they didn't get, even with Kaprizov, they didn't get better. Who did they bring out that was a difference maker? If anything,
Dmitry Kulikov and John Merrill.
Alex Goligoski.
Yeah.
$5 million.
I think their defense definitely took a step back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't understand why. I get the contract, but I don't understand why they bought out Suter, to tell you the truth. His regression wasn't as steep so far as Parise. I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty taken aback when I found out that it was both and not just one. And especially with the fact that now they got to deal with, this year, okay, it's not that bad, but next summer you got to extend Kevin Fiala. This is his last year. And then the next year also coincidentally is when the brunt of that dead cap starts to kick in.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dan could speak on it more, but I have a feeling the reason both of them was bigger than just regression.
It was a culture change that they wanted to do.
Yeah,
That's
culture shock. I get that. It's like Daniel writes about Minnesota or something. So,
not to mention also, it's I think they were also worried about the what the cap recapture might look like.
Right.
I'm just worried about, because you have one negotiation this year with Kaprizov, who is the man on this team now. But then next year, Kevin Fiala has made quite an impact. He's going to get paid next year. You're going to have to deal with both of those buyouts and the penalties from that, and that's just going to be a mess.
They will have no depth. They will have no depth for 5 years. But so for now, we put them in step back.
Sure.
All right. The Montreal Canadiens, has it been a busy offseason yet again? Because
just a disaster, just a plain disaster.
See, here's the thing: if you had told me that we were counting the draft, they're in just a disaster. But if we're excluding the draft, I don't even think we can. I don't think we can with Montreal. I think they're a disaster. Listen.
I was joking, but
Well, let's have the debate. Fine. Like everyone form your own opinion here. So let's talk about this. There were factors beyond Montreal's control, and Weber, they couldn't control that.
Right.
okay, well, that still has to factor into the fact.
I'm not saying that cuts out of it, but I'm just saying there
Obviously, it's unanticipated. Yes.
But if you let me finish my setup, you're going to see where I'm going here. So there are things they couldn't.
Obviously, yeah, it's unanticipated.
Yes.
Sorry, I love you.
Shut up. So there are things they couldn't control, like Weber. Like, okay, rip. There were mistakes like, why the heck did you not like? There were things like the price gamble worked out, but it nearly shook the fan base to its core. But then there were stuff that Montreal very clearly cocked up, and that was they wouldn't move on the Danault deal. The Kotkaniemi stuff, they seemed to have lowballed them. Yeah, they brought in a good replacement with Dvorak. They brought in Savard to sort of help fill that gap. Hoffman, Weidman. There's a lot of stuff there.
Mathieu Perreault, man, come on.
Perreault et Cedric Paquette, non, tous les Canadiens de Montréal, québécois. Mais c'est difficile pour les Canadiens. Because you look at
Your French hurts. But anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to criticize him.
Get out. Can you just
honestly, here's one thing that redeems it though. I think they handled the Kotkaniemi situation phenomenally well.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was a lose-lose situation. But then they still were. I mean, yeah, you lose Kotkaniemi, but you're not paying 6.1 this year for Kotkaniemi. That's dumb. And then to have to figure out what you're going to do with him after. So I think they handled it pretty well, managing to get Dvorak with the capital that you get.
I agree with that.
I think.
Sorry, no.
I don't know. No. Like I think it's disastrous in ways that isn't like. I mean, yeah, like you said, the Weber thing. Weber potentially ending his career is just disastrous on his own because that's your captain, but that's not in their control. Drafting Logan Mailloux is in their control.
Yes.
And I don't know. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt to be a step back, but you don't usually say step back. A step back for a team that made the cup final shouldn't be not making the playoffs, or in this case, they're in the Atlantic Division this year. So I might have to say a bit of a disaster. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Okay, first of all, let me say, I wasn't trying to say, discount the Weber stuff. I was just trying to do a fancy setup there. So, let's break it down like this. You try to replace Shea Weber. You can't do that. But, you try and do with Savard what you've done. Okay, cool. They're weaker at center. That's not a debate. At defense, you can maybe say status quo because of what Weber was in the regular season, and that playoff performance was probably his last hurrah. In net, they're status quo, but I think with you can say Caulfield coming is going to help in that, and Hoffman in that, Hoffman and Dvorak are going to help them in areas. Then it's if we can't ignore Chicago if we can put Chicago with a step forward. Okay, now one of you guys, they're way too difficult. I can't ignore the Mayu stuff. I can't do that.
I can. You know what, Daniel? Go ahead. I'll go after. It's okay.
Okay, I'd say it is a step back, but a half step back, but still a step back, because I think with all of the injuries and the people they lost, that they were pretty good with riding the ship in a way that they wanted to get these replacements and they still wanted to be competitive. So I'll give them that. But yeah, with the Logan Mailloux stuff, it's just kind of the way I saw it, and this is probably my opinion, is that Montreal was kind of it was that Canadian team. We're joking around about the CN Tower being the colors of the Habs and all that going on during the finals. And it was in a way they tried to make it it was Canada's team in a way. So they were riding that high, but then suddenly with the draft, it just that happens. And then it's oh, okay, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't cheering them on as Canada's team too, then you're also...
No, stop it. Stop. Alex, go ahead.
So to me, just based on the roster moves they made, it looks like a step back. To me, the Hoffman signing was kind of a Thomas Tatar replacement, in my eyes, at least.
Hopefully he
it's
doesn't
hard-
get scratched in the playoffs if they make it.
Like that, the expectation is he plays well in the playoffs would be the expectation. It's really difficult to replace Shea Weber completely. David Savard is as good as I guess you can get. They still need a puck moving defenseman, as Adam, you've brought up. I don't know how many times, by the way. Sami Vatanen is still a free agent, and they replaced some depth pieces with Cedric Paquette and Matthew Perreault. But as you said, you lost the best defensive center in the league. Like that is a huge piece missing. And yeah, you can replace him with Christian Dvorak, but Christian Dvorak is not Philip Deneau. So I just think
going to get more goals though.
Sure, but someone, you know what I mean? Like there was a set system that Montreal played really well in, is that they have those lines, and Philip Deneau, that whoever he was playing with, that is your shutdown line. And they did that the entire time in the playoffs. How you remove that?
Like when he shut down Matthews and Tavares?
Correct. When he shut down Matthews and Tavares, when he shut down Scheifele for half a game, and then whoever was their first line center after that. And the same in Vegas, against Vegas. Like it's just a hard role to replace with the roster that they currently have.
Let's be frank here. Dvorak isn't even the Deneau replacement. He's the Kotkaniemi one.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Like there is no Deneau replacement.
They already botched the development of Kotkaniemi that they had to lose him in the first place.
I
stand by that.
I'm thinking back on this. I think we have to put Chicago and Montreal in the disaster. I think we'd be doing a disservice if we ignored the Aldrich and the Mayu stuff.
Sure.
I'm thinking about it. I feel like this is the proper thing to do.
This is your team, so let's go with what
both of them.
Yeah. Okay. Nashville.
Okay, I'll take it.
Sorry, Mike, but
3-1.
it's just.
I'm not. Hey, no. I'm not objecting.
Oh.
It's just like it just feels wrong. It feels wrong.
Yeah, I agree. If we are going to factor in controversies that are clouding these teams,
like I feel like last year we didn't ignore Mayu. I mean, not Mayu. I feel like last year
Miller.
we definitely did not.
We did not ignore Minnesota, but then again, Minnesota was also in shambles, not just with the whole Miller situation, but nonetheless, that still was one of the biggest deals in the hockey world.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Mike did mean to say Arizona there. It's just Minnesota's logo just come in there.
Oh, Shizen. Yes, I meant.
No, it's because you
Arizona.
thought we're doing Nashville next, and you're like those damn beast creature teams. Speaking of which, Nashville.
No, I'm just dumb.
I know.
Thanks, pal. Jeez. Okay.
I didn't need to do that.
Someone is getting a demotion in our organization, clearly.
Do you know when like you have those sort of the words you rest on as crutches, like how Ron McLean's always like beautiful. Mine's like I know. Anyway, Pekka Rinne is retired, but UC Saros had taken over the net. Beside that, I think they took a step back, aka they got like nothing for Ryan Ellis.
They got big save Dave?
Yeah, Dave Rittich. Cool.
Leafs legend.
The third goalie in Toronto.
One game.
I'm still remembering. I thought it looked like a NHL 21 glitch when he
wore the red pads.
He wore the red pads. Plus, remember when that goal just went right through him and he tried to like shoot it?
Yes, I do.
With that Mitch Marner giveaway.
Okay. Nashville definitely took a step back, trading Ryan Ellis for pennies. And
Philip Myers.
They also can't figure out what they're doing with a rebuild or not. Like
that's it
very
right
confused. It's so confusing.
That is it right there. That is what has me confused, because I would give them a step forward if Mikael Granlund was gone, and if they actually got something. Siri keeps popping up. If they actually got something in the worthwhile with, I mean, Philip Myers, he's a minute muncher and he's physical and strong, but and yeah, I mean, you can't discount on Cody Glass, but I mean, they could have gone better. They definitely. Oh my God! Siri keeps popping up on this thing. It keeps annoying me. I don't know if they. I would have honestly given them a step forward if you could see that there is a clear-cut rebuild not even clear-cut rebuild plan in place, but if they were making moves towards this rebuild, because they're not competitive anymore. And I know Poyle has never really done a big rebuild, but dude, like they're not gonna even make they're gonna be a low middle of the pack team that isn't gonna make the playoffs.
So step back, we can agree.
Yes. If they waited a week, they would have gotten a boatload for Ryan Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now we look at
this team sucks. No one cares about this team. Skip.
Okay.
No one cares about this team.
So
they suck. No one cares about this team. They're not good. They're a terrible organization. Skip.
Okay. So the New Jersey Devils bring in Bachwood's new partner in Jonathan Bernier. They have a really tidy, around the trade deadline onwards, bringing in Siegenthaler. They take advantage of Colorado's situation to go get Adam. Ryan Graves. I have it in front of me.
Why do you keep saying Adam Graves?
I'm because I'm an idiot. They also bring in Thomas Tatar, and Dougie Hamilton. I think right now it's fair to say with those moves, for now we put them with the Kings in the fabulous category.
Yeah, for sure.
And Mike isn't going to say much. And I'm saying at the end of it, we'll do a vote to see who is the official champion. And
we're not giving Wayne Simmons $5 million, right?
Champion of the offseason. Well, exactly. Wayne Simmons.
I mean, you know what? I get it. They snagged Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah.
They snagged Dougie Hamilton. Just that alone is propelling them.
We have about half the league left, so we should
pick up the pace a little bit.
Pick up the pace. The Rangers.
It took a step back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We can agree.
Just put him there. Tom
Wilson
is their GM.
What are they doing?
Tom Wilson is living not just rent free. Tom Wilson is living completely mortgage free.
Yeah.
If the Rangers were Drake's enormous mansion, Tom Wilson is living in that completely free.
Yeah, aka hello, Barclay Udra, and Pavel Buchnevich is being shipped out of town
for Sandy Blaze.
Yeah, and then
but it's okay because it'll all work itself out, and they will propel up in this tier list standings when they get Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
So we should also mention they do bring in Gerard Gallant. And they signed Shesterkin, but it's just the identity of the team has just shifted so much. And they bring in Ryan Graves just to lull at everyone. Ryan Reeves. Sorry.
I was gonna say Ryan Graves, dude. You figure it out.
The Sens, like Minnesota, they have not signed Brady Tkachuk, so I'm willing to just put them in setback for now because all their other business is intended to.
I mean,
they also really didn't do much.
Or anything really.
They didn't make any additions of note other than Michael Del Zotto. By how quiet it was, by how quiet it was, I think we're okay with step back.
Sorry, I got a text.
Like a lot of it is internal improvement is the expectation.
I mean, it also sucks because look how much money they paid Evgeny Dadonov just for him now to go to Vegas. Because that experiment failed, except for when he scored the overtime winner on that horrible team that they came back 5-1 to.
So
if you ever remember, did you remember watching that game?
The Philadelphia Flyers, I think they made a step forward.
Yeah. Joel Farabee, I was surprised with that extension already.
You know what? They get big Keith Yandle. I love Keith Yandle. But the hope too is that look, I know young goalies always have a tough season. I still believe Carter Hart will be a great goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also whenever you give a young goalie a backup that's older than them, it's because he's supposed to mentor them. Martin Jones is mentoring Carter Hart.
Very quietly, Claude Giroux being a UFA at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can't forget that.
So they bring in some interesting pieces. We mentioned Atkinson.
When does James Van Hockey start to regress? Because he had a great year, I feel.
I mean, we'll worry about that. I mean, as of right now, I mean that's not the tier list. It's not part of the tier list. I think they took a step.
No, that's a genuine. No, it's just a genuine question. I'm asking you guys because this guy seems like he's just like he's been 27 forever, even though he's 32.
Especially with all his injuries, you think
I know,
but
I'm just saying that's a surprising point. That's a good point that Philly has if he can continue to do that. And I mean, you have like Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm also still confused with what they're doing on D. Like,
I mean,
why are you gonna pair two offensive? Are you gonna pair two offensive defensemen together, or are you gonna pair Ristolainen with one of them, who is a glorified pylon?
They're clearly trying to replace Matt Niskanen.
Yeah, and clearly that is not like that. That does not look like. I'm looking at this screen right now that Adam has. That does not look like a replacement.
The defense, by the way, for people wondering: Provorov, Alice, Ristolainen, Sanheim, Braun, Keith Yandel, and Sam Marin.
I thought he was a forward again already. Oh, it says it there. Yeah,
he's somewhere.
Okay.
Because he's whatever they need him to play, he's up in there. Also, guys, never forget. You see it, right? Derek Brassard is there.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they still took a step forward because, like Alice, like you can't tell me that bringing Alice in that isn't going to help them out. Like I like the team.
They like a more mature defense with him. I think so.
I think it's a step forward. I think it still has the ability to either backfire in classic Philly fashion, or in next year's tier list. Even though we're not looking at that yet, but next year's tier list going into their next season, they'll go right back down again. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll give them a step forward for now.
There's a lot of bets with the Flyers. I think they're gonna have.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
The good thing is they signed Sean Couturier. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
To a spectacular deal, by the way.
Looking at Pittsburgh, they lost some very quietly lost some depth players like Jared McCann and that sort of guys. You know,
Tanev.
Yeah, Tanev, and that was a pretty good depth piece for them.
Frederick Gaudreau.
Cody
Ceci, that's a collapse in itself.
I mean, you make fun of him, but he was he fit his role well in Pittsburgh.
Can't even lie, he did.
Again, by the way, that's a very quiet, solid move for them. Wow, they have a lot of UFAs and forward. Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think overall you can say the Pittsburgh Penguins are pretty status quo. I mean, goaltending is the same. Defense is mostly the same. I mean, forwards mostly the same.
They're really banking on Tristan Jarry not being as awful as he was in the playoffs.
Yeah. What they lost, they did seem to recoup through free agency.
I've never heard of Radim Zahorna, but he'll probably play with Crosby this year.
Probably.
He's getting 40 points. Okay, so step forward.
Yeah.
Right next to Philly. You love to see it. The San Jose Sharks.
Oh, God.
What did they
just
do?
a disaster.
Yeah.
Well, no, you know what? You know what, guys? You say that, but they bring in Aiden Hill for Joseph
and Sharks legend.
And they bring back James Reimer. And looking at their offense, it probably doesn't help. They haven't moved Evander Kane yet.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like that's an over. That's just there. You go. You have a locker room distraction. You have
contracts.
They still have some of the worst contracts in hockey and one of the worst cap situations in hockey. So I think they're eternally just still disastrous.
Yeah,
I'd put them there. Yeah, we good for that?
I put them there. Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
Amish Hurdle would put them there too.
Yeah. Sorry, Aiden Hill, but you're not enough.
Seattle.
You're not that guy, pal.
Seattle, from what I saw last year, I think they really took a for what they've been able to do this offseason.
I mean, they've.
Joke of the day.
By definition, they should be champions of the offseason because they literally went from 0 to whatever we're gonna put them.
Yeah, their projected win thing is insane compared to last year. No, I mean, you look at them. I mean, so the moves they themselves did. They get Alexiak, Adam Larson for great deals. Grubauer fell into their laps hilariously.
How awkward is that conversation though when you draft Chris Drieger to be your number one guy, and then, oh hey, how's Philip Grubauer doing?
He had to probably live for about a week the prospect that Carey Price was going to come in. I'm sure, like, no offense to Philip Grubauer, good goalie. But, when you go from expecting Carey Price to all of a sudden be your competition to Philip Grubauer, good player, had some mad moments against Vegas. I'm sure he was ready for it. Plus, you got to remember, these are competitors. They're going to see a guy and instead think of, oh, crap, this guy's coming to steal my job. It's going to be, that's my competition. You know what? I don't think it's going to affect him that much. And he gets money. He's, just got like, what, $10 million total from that deal-ish. So I would put them in fabulous because they kept true with keeping all their cap space. They've they made really good moves for the free agents they did make. Like if you were rating the expansion draft itself, obviously that was a bit we criticized it.
Underwhelming.
So maybe that's against them becoming ultimate champions, but I would put them plus how I've just kind of realized a big problem with the way I specifically have named these categories. How do you say they've taken a step forward when they've never made one? So I think we kind of have to put them in fabulous.
Okay, fabulous it is.
So there you go. Congratulations, Seattle. The St. Louis Blues, bringing Buchnevich, decent little move there.
Absolutely fleecing the Rangers.
Yeah, they get the Parayko extension done. No matter your opinions on that, they keep the guy. People like having players. And they obviously bring in Brandon Saad. I don't think it's awful to say that they took a step forward, like depth-wise, scoring-wise.
They lost Vinny Dunn, but I think it's hard also, too, because what's the deal with Vladimir Tarasenko?
That is the big question. And what kind of offers did they have around the expansion draft that they, remember they were saying like, oh, we don't like the value of this or something. And now he's just been sitting there. Like, see, how many players aren't going to report to camp because they're just waiting to get moved?
Eichel, Tarasenko.
Like, how does Kuznetsov feel around the Caps right now? Because they don't like him. So where do we put that with the Blues? I wouldn't say Dunn's that big of a loss because it seems like he fell out of favor to begin with. But
I'd say status quo because a lot of the moves they did do kind of kept them afloat. But now that the Tarasenko thing isn't solved, I don't think it puts them to step forward.
I love how Daniel was like normally like, okay, you guys go ahead. But when it came to the Blues, he
because this
voice
is his
of reason.
Team. This is his team. He said they were making the playoffs. I'll agree with Dan. Another point to add onto that is I don't know if they really fixed their goaltending. Like, yes, there's Jordan Binnington, but Jordan Binnington also can't play 82 games.
And he can only punch so many faces, Alex.
Exactly.
He doesn't look nervous.
He can only punch so many people in the face, and I don't know how much I'm going to trust Ville Husso to play 20, 25 games, depending on how many games Jordan Binnington plays. Like, it's just that's my worry.
I have a fun fact about Ville Husso.
Let's hear it.
He was the original Leafs pick that they sent with Carl Gunnarsson for Roman Polak.
You were watching a trade tree recently, weren't you?
No, I always remember that.
Tampa just remembers.
Tampa took a step back, like without a doubt.
Yeah. But like their step back is they're still so good. It's ridiculous.
So, in the second bottom tier, but competitively they are fabulous.
yeah.
Bro, they have Corey Perry now. Like,
and sorry, Alex, about your jersey.
That's okay. I'll live.
We'll always remember the year.
I will gladly remember the year.
Mike, I'd like to thank you on the show for the last time after that Corey Perry bastard. Okay, and here they are. The Toronto Maple Leafs. They've done
who cares? Skip. No. They suck. They're terrible.
So Mike's not allowed to take part in this conversation. So
what do you mean I can't take part in this conversation?
Because you're clearly way too biased.
No. You know what? I will not be biased. I'll give it a
let me set it up and then you two can go at. Okay, so here's Frederick Anderson is gone.
Crack my neck.
Josh Hosang, gotta love it. Okay, so one more year of Phil Kessel. Love to see it. Okay, so out goes Frederick Anderson. In comes Petr Mrazek. The defense is basically the same. And the big sort of question is on offense. They lose a really important player in Zach Hyman. And then they kind of do what Toronto always does is we're going to sign a bunch of guys. One will get waived. One will be sent for like a pick. They're both end up in Vancouver somehow, and one's probably going to work, and one may leave in free agency the next year. It's always how it works. So before I even say anything about it, let's just, Alex and Mike, if you want to just sort of get this out the way. Daniel might get some popcorn.
No, I think I don't know if he's actually going to put them in just a disaster, but like I'm going to put them in step back, and rightfully so.
Step back.
Frederick Anderson, when he is 100% healthy and on his game, is extremely good playoffs. Is extremely good goaltender.
Sucks in the playoffs.
Okay, he'll let in a bad goal if his numbers are actually quite fine. I'm sorry that the team just can't step up in Game 6, but that's a different story.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
That's different.
It would have been different this year because they have a better defense.
Sure,
they had
whatever. But what was I going to say? Whatever. Petr Mrazek is a decent replacement.
Petr?
Yes, it's Petr Mrazek. It's not Peter
Mrazek. I've never heard anyone say Petr Mrazek.
There's no second E. How is it Peter?
I've heard so many people. It's
better.
Peter, like Piotr.
I don't think so.
You just say it the way you say
whatever.
it.
I don't think their defense hasn't changed, as Adam said, but I think there's a lot of question marks on forward just because what in the world is Andre Kasha and Nick Ritchie going to be? What is Michael
Bunting Ritchie going to be? Or is Bunting? Who's going to be up there replacing Zach Hyman on Matthews and Marner's wing?
The reason they're not status quo and they're a step back is because of the question marks of the signings they made up front. Like if all of them work out, wonderful. But the chances of all of them working out are not high.
No.
That's all I have to say.
I'll say step back. I won't really give too much on the goalies because I think it's a good experiment. I think if they're going to genuinely, like if they do genuinely exercise a genuine tandem type beat between Campbell and Mrazek, it can work out well. And I'd rather, like, I don't know about you, but I think that'd be good than grossly you have to, because you can't really afford to grossly overpay a goalie because you are already grossly overpaying a underwhelming Mitch Marner. I'm not going to take that back. He sucks in the playoffs, but yeah, like I'm okay with a step back. I think these are all depth moves because they didn't have much money to work with in the first place, but they were definitely in on Gabriel Landeskog and Philip Grubauer, though, right?
Yes,
they're still a joke.
Steve Dangle's the traitor.
And they're apparently in with PK as well.
Yeah, Steve Dangle's the traitor.
How would you get to more like?
So I know,
like how?
Well, I find it interesting. Like, there's a lot of sort of funny side stories around the Leafs, and that first off is this could be the first time, because last year short season, a bit of an asterisk. This is the first real chance that in a long full season that Jack Campbell will try and get that chance to really be a starter. Because on LA, it was never going to last because of Peterson being there. So like I think this is a really big year for him. Like Mrazek is the most like definition of a tandem safe backup goalie that there is, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously in defense, you always like the big question is, okay, what is Sandin? What is the future of Morgan Riley? Which I can't wait to talk about that all year.
Is Robertson going to be on the team?
Yeah, he's going to be a better top six option than Mccabe. I see some people say.
Liljegren has literally fallen down. You know how the athletic writers used to be pumping this guy's tires left, right, and center. Every outlet everywhere is like, oh, Timothy Liljegren. Now they have him as like the 7th best ranked prospect in this organization. Like, what's going on with this D? Who's going to play D if one of these top 6 goes down? Liljegren, frigging Marty Marincin.
Nope, not there anymore.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's gone. Timu Kivalami,
Philip Kral.
So
they got Alex Biega. I forgot about that.
We also saw this story and
looking
at the forwards here is like with Hyman being gone, there's just sort of not to mention there was always that sort of second line left like wing question, and it was like, okay, is it going to be Galchenyuk? there is going to be a
I miss
massive question
Kelly.
here because shut up. We all do. Come back to Montreal for the lulls, for the memes. If they had brought back Galchenyuk, I would have put them champions of the offseason. You guys couldn't have stopped me. It would have been so funny. Anyway, so AKA, what are the wings going to look like with guys like obviously Richie is Richie. Kasha is going to be fascinating, even if he's a right winger. That's a guy. And what exactly is going to happen with Ellie Mccabe?
I don't think they can surprise us anymore because at this point last year, they announced that Joe Thornton was going to be starting on the top line with Matthews and Marner. So I don't have expectations anymore for who the heck they're going to throw up there.
I'm almost done.
Someone different every game.
Yeah.
Hold on.
All right. Okay. In the rotator, Bunting, it's your turn. No. I was on last. All right. Richie, or do you want a shot, Curtis Gabriel? Do you want to play this game?
Ilya Mikheyev requested the trade. What do we think about it? I was trying to get there.
I love how quickly the fan base just turned on them. It's like, are you? What? It's so dumb. It's just this whole thing. It's the guy. I think there's this perception, for whatever reason, he wants out. Like he clearly wants out because of the ice time and no other reason for that. And I'm sorry, but we've all watched Ilya Mikheyev play in the top six. And unless he's added a skill set this summer, it's just very difficult to watch every time Mitch Marner passes him the puck. It really is. Like
the only time he gets a goal is if he's literally completely wide open and he's given a one-timer. That's the only time he's scoring. But other than that, like, sure, he's faster than McDavid, but he's got no finish. He's not Swedish though, so you can't say that.
I've always brought forth the argument that if Ilya Mikheyev improved his finishing a little bit, just a little bit, he could do the exact same role that Zach Hyman played. Like it's.
But what do you mean by finishing?
Like Zach Hyman's
that's not exactly something you're working on in the offseason. It's not a specific, like, what do you mean? Shooting, passing?
Okay, so what was Zach Hyman's role? Literally just shooting a puck, because watching him shoot a puck or try, I see screenshot after screenshot of him getting the puck in front of the net and just horribly screwing it up.
He kind of
horribly screwing it up. You can't you can do that sometimes, the odd occasion. It's just ridiculous to watch every single time.
Fair. All right.
I'll throw him if we're still going. I'm still saying step back, but yeah, I don't.
Yes.
Ilya Mikheyev, honestly, I don't think it's a huge deal that he requested a trade. He's also with, oh my God, Siri. He's also with Gold Star, and Gold Star moves their players left, right, and center from organizations if they're not like the star Russians on the team. So
I think he starts the season with the Leafs.
I don't think he starts this season, but I could definitely see him in a top six role for a while because they're just going to kind of be banking on him.
Well, they have to try their options there because right now
they're the ones that said we're not trading you, so that means you got to play him then.
It's almost like it's kind of maybe kind of silly to say this, but you almost kind of expect this to happen. And what I mean by that is the Leafs, and something that they've done is they always they're known, like they're really good at bringing Russian players in. And, those players coming overseas have a certain expectation. But they have to work for those certain expectations. And obviously Ozhiganov didn't work out. Mikheyev, he has his uses. He's gotten a certain silicate. Yeah. And he's just, if forever he's just a really fast skater who can't finish, and that's what he is at the NHL level. So again, the guy doesn't cost you a lot. You got him for free. So just sometimes it's just like the stuff is bound to happen with these kind of free agents and that. It's just, we saw it again with why can I never remember his name? The defenseman they brought over that everyone rubbed in Habs fans' faces. He was
Lettinen.
Mikko Lettinen, and now he's a free agent somewhere after going to Columbus. It just, those things happen. Okay. Vancouver.
Disaster. I don't care how much better they got. Look at what they did by getting rid of their three worst contracts that would have expired next year. for like literally one of the worst contracts in hockey, and then giving up a first round pick for God knows whatever reason. Sure, they get Connor Garland. They're still a disaster in my face.
Okay.
Thank you.
Plus, they didn't re-sign their top guys yet.
Yeah. Look at that. They still haven't signed Pedersen. They still haven't signed Hughes. Like,
I'll just put them in.
Jim Benning still exists.
Yeah, like I can't disagree with that.
Their best move was Yaroslav Halak.
No, their best move was Connor Garland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came with.
I know.
It came with the OEL.
It was Luke Shen.
Hey, don't hurt Daniel's feelings like that, okay?
Two-time
I
champion.
won't let you do that.
He went back to back.
Vegas. They dump Fleury for nothing. They bring in Dadonov because they can, and they don't improve their center depth. And I think they've taken a step back because
They didn't sign Nolan Patrick yet.
Okay, who cares? Just let him rot. If he doesn't want to sign, he doesn't want to sign. By the way, Mccabe, like whatever. If I was the GM, if I was Trump, trade him. Okay, he doesn't want to be here. He can leave. Anyway, so looking at Vegas, yeah, I think they took a step back because they also what Vegas have done, which I think is going to be the biggest detriment of that team, is they've messed with their identity. Now, you guys know I don't think Ryan Reeves is that much of a real factor in hockey games, aka he was scratched against the Habs. But to the team, to the fan base, to the perception that you are within hockey, losing Nosek and losing Ryan Reeves, I think, is going to affect them. And not to mention the reputation that team has for signing players is getting worse by the year. Not to mention their goalies, like their tandem just isn't as good anymore. So I would put Vegas in step back.
Yeah, I'd put him step back.
I would agree.
It's interesting because here's the way I put it. Vegas came into this league guns blazing with everything they've done. And in true Vegas fashion, every move they've made like most of the moves. I mean, look at how they acquired Pacioretty. Look how they acquired Martinez. Look at how big the signing was for Pietrangelo. Everything they've done, or Mark Stone, everything they've done has always been in true Vegas fashion.
Yeah.
A big deal. But now the moves they made with trading Glass for Patrick in that big three-way trade. Again, Nolan Patrick is still an RFA. And with how weak their center depth is, the one thing I see here, especially when they try and free up money by just giving away Fleury for nothing, is something that I haven't seen with Vegas that I'm finally starting to see now, is that for once I've actually seen moves made out of desperation. And that's something we aren't used to seeing with Vegas because everything before was so calculated, so big, because they were building on a roster that was underwhelming, but still made the Stanley Cup final. And then just building on it more and more and more. But now, I mean, they've hit a point where they're starting to hit that cap crunch and their center depth is deplorable. I mean, that's no mark on Chandler Stevenson. He's doing his best, but he's not a number one center on that another competitor. But yeah, like making that move where you're like, okay, Cody Glass isn't ready yet. We don't have time to wait. Instead of going out and getting somebody anywhere, we're just going to be desperate and see if Nolan Patrick can work something out, if we can sign him. That's like what I'm saying. I'm seeing moves out of desperation here. That's not something, especially now that, ever since they went to the Cup final, they got that taste and they've still been a great team they beat Colorado this year and then they lose to Montreal. That's no offense to Montreal, but it's Colorado we're talking about here. We said whichever team is out of those teams that wins in the series, they're going to the Cup final. And yeah, I'm seeing desperation now. And that's interesting to me to see what the trajectory is now moving forward.
It's like they've gone to the blackjack table and they've gone over. Hit me. And
remember, the house always wins, man.
Yep.
The house is the NHL, not Vegas.
All right. So Vegas, you've taken a step back, my friend. The Capitals. Oh, the Capitals.
They've messed with their defense. I don't know.
If there was a bad way of saying status quo, it's the Washington Capitals. They're older again. They haven't really brought in anyone to really make a difference. They had to give up assets to get Vitek Vanacek back.
Brandon Dillon's gone.
Yeah, Brendan Dillon's gone. Do we even put them in step back? Because I guess happily, obviously Ovechkin's back. Love to see it. Deserves every dollar. Love you, Ovi. The Caps aren't better, but they're not worse. But it's bad for them that they aren't any better.
Yeah. I'm fine with putting them in step back. I am, just because of a lot of the guys who we expect to perform are older and have now gotten a year older.
There's still questions surrounding Kuznetsov.
That too.
One thing for me is that when they lost to Boston in the first round, it felt like it was the bubble again. Like they were so passive, like there's no fight in them to try to do anything. Like they were just content in making the playoffs.
And they won the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I actually had expectations when Washington ended the regular season the way they did, especially with how they bullied the Rangers and how much fire they had going into the playoffs and their playoff position. I had a lot of expectation for them to actually not go all the way, but at least win a round or 2. And that was pretty disappointing. And now I think, their roster has gone older again.
Since Barry Trotz left, they've just not been the same.
No.
I'm wondering, should we put Anaheim down just because it's almost the same? It's a lack of identity move, like any sort of. You know what I mean?
But they're guys.
They're a rebuilder.
Sorry.
No, they're not.
No, go ahead, Alex, please.
The thing I would say about Anaheim is the guys we expect to perform are younger and could still take steps forward. That would be my reasoning, right? Like we're expecting the Comtois, the Zegrasses, like these are the guys we are expecting to perform. No, it's no more the Jakob Silfverbergs or the Ryan Getzlaffs who we expect to be at the top of the points.
5-hole Troy Terry.
Exactly. What a king.
I love Troy Terry.
Winnipeg, I think, took a step forward. They improved that defense very well.
Indubitably.
Yeah.
What?
Indubitably.
They took more than one step this time.
Congratulations, Winnipeg.
Dude, no, they short of their D. That's been the biggest thing for long, and they didn't even lose Dylan DeMello in the expansion draft.
Why was Calgary and Buffalo this low down? How did
I have no.
What okay, Calgary.
Step
what
back.
Have you done?
Nothing.
They gave Mark Giordano money to Blake Coleman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Coleman. Like Goudreau and Kachuk, or not Goudreau and Kachuk.
And Trevor Lewis.
Goudreau and Monahan.
Yeah, Goudreau and Monahan are still there. They've done nothing. Who is? Oh, it's Vladar. I was about to say who. Oh, it's Vladar. I was wondering who that was. They brought back Michael Stone again. They brought in Eric Gabranson. Why? I have such a grudge against this team that I want to put them in disaster, but I feel like it's a little mean. If this was Bill Peters, then maybe put them in disaster.
There's a part of me that also wants to put them in a disaster because number one, there is no vision, and number two, they didn't really do much. Like they brought in Blake Coleman, but the rest of the team is still it's the same.
Yeah. I don't get what they're doing at all. I don't think. I mean, I think the last 2 teams can merit disasters.
Okay, so here's the thing with Buffalo. I'm gonna defend the Sabres here.
What?
I'm gonna defend this. Oh, my mic! No! Oh no!
Your mic. Can I get started?
I'm right here. What's up?
No, my mic. Okay, it just went off. Well, rip. Okay, can't fix. Okay,
just throw it out. It's okay.
Oh God, I'm still screenshot. Okay, we'll figure it out later. Okay, hello. Here's the thing I want to say about
what's going on.
My mic plug.
Just a disaster.
It's just. I don't think the.
As soon as he says he wants to defend Buffalo.
Okay.
As soon as he says he wants to defend Buffalo, and that's what happens.
Okay, so let's be fair about Buffalo for a little bit here, okay?
Yes, let's be fair.
Listen. No, they have not traded Jack Eichel yet because they are standing to their price, and if they mess up a Jack Eichel deal, then they are screwed for a decade. Reinhardt still got them a first rounder in what is apparently going to be a very deep draft. They have their own first round. Yeah, they need to re-sign Deline, but what is he at this point? You maybe be fair. And I really do like the fact that they got a nice return for Rasmus Ristolainen. And I feel like Kevin Adams has gained some good graces here. Yes, they missed the playoffs for a decade now. Yes, they didn't trade Linus Ullmark and instead decided to let him walk. But I'm trying. I'm grasping for straws a little bit here, but I just okay. So let's put it like this: did they draft a guy who announced himself from the draft after sharing sexually pictures that were? Yeah, no, he didn't do what Mayu did.
He did not.
He did not do what the Blackhawks are being alleged of doing.
No.
They don't have 5 Jeff Skinner contracts like the Sharks do. They didn't just screw themselves cap wise forever like the Canucks have and say what you want about Eichel. He signed. And there is some sort of vision in bringing in Granato when they know what they want to do and focus on this next generation of young players above the Flames. I just think it's easy to rag on the Sabres, and I feel like we need to. With Buffalo, we're always so negative, but I feel like sometimes it clouds about some of the stuff they are doing right. And I feel like this offseason, and I think Sabres fans would want to strangle me for saying this, is it looks like they have a sort of step in the right way for this rebuild, is what I'm trying to say here. I don't think they meet the criteria of being a disaster like the other teams we have here.
I think the above management, above Kevin Adams, is a disaster. I think the culture somewhat seems to still be,
as long as the Pigulas are there,
a disaster. But I think the moves I think you're right, Adam, in the moves that Kevin Adams has made so far have actually somewhat helped the team. They obviously brought in Will Butcher, I think, for future considerations.
Yeah.
But they also got rid of Will Borgen to do that. And I thought Will Borgen was pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, Christophilus was saying that too.
That was through expansion, right?
Yeah.
But
at the same time, too, okay, first off, look at how crap that roster is. I know you're kind of handcuffed. I know there's a plan. You're playing Craig Anderson and Aaron Dell this year because Linus Ullmark walked out for nothing. I understand that, but look at what's happening with Eichel. Eichel should have been dealt by now. I understand that you're kind of holding to your laurels, but you're just wasting his value now at this point too, because you're not letting him get a surgery that a zillion scientists and medical people are saying, just let him do it. It's at the same time, sure. Oh, crap, freaking Syracuse popping up. Sure, they may have vision, but they're still a disaster until they can pull themselves out of this BS that they're going through, I think.
They're a hopeful disaster.
That's a very good way of putting it, actually. Dan just nailed it.
Are you adding a hopeful disaster?
Okay, let's take a final vote. Michael, where
Disaster.
do you put them? Daniel, where do you put them?
I think disaster.
Alex, where do you put them?
I put them step back.
I put them a step back. No.
Oh my God.
Wait, step back. Oh no, ignore new. I was gonna put them at status quo-ish. But
no.
So no, not step back, because I think listen, for philosophy reasons, but we've been outvoted. I'm not happy about this. I'm sorry, Buffalo. Buffalo fans. I'm sorry.
You
guys deserve way better than the Pigulas.
It's not.
That's why you guys should just be fans of the Bills. Bills Mafia.
Who are playing
Cowboys.
Don't they also own the Bills?
Yeah, they do, but they're not completely effing it all up. They were before. They were interfering. They were interfering before, but they're not interfering with Bills Mafia.
Oh, so Dolan was interfering with the Knicks.
Literally exactly with how Dolan was doing it with the Knicks. They're Dolan realized the Knicks are better now, and he's like, okay, I'm clearly good at my job, even though I'm not. I'm going to interfere with the Rangers.
Okay. As I'm trying to look for my phone. Okay, here's what I want you guys to do. We'll delete the extra new tab. Excuse me. Okay, I want each of you to go on to Twitter and DM me, not in any group chats, DM me who you think is the champion of the offseason between LA, New Jersey, and Seattle. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And while the lads are doing that, Eichel, apparently him and his camp have met with Sabres, his new group, obviously Pepper's on that. Situation, hopefully they can resolve it. Come to Montreal. We'll gladly welcome you.
He's not.
Has everyone sent in their text?
Hold on.
Yes,
I
sir.
texted you. I didn't tweet you because I don't take orders.
Well, I mean,
I'm kidding. Just because I already had my texting open.
well, no, I've just realized I don't know where my phone is, so let me just take my my thing on Do Not Disturb. Has everyone sent it though? We're all good.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So the first vote is in.
Sorry, I thought I almost put it in the group chat. No, sorry.
No.
Are
So
you gonna
okay.
check what I? Oh, okay.
So Daniel has said the LA Kings. Alex has said the New Jersey Devils. And Mike, who is the deciding vote, he did not vote Seattle. Hates to say it, but he did vote for the New Jersey Devils, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Holy!
So technically, Mike Jagasar has now crowned the New Jersey Devils. Make this the clip, Alex.
Write this down.
Mike has crowned not the LA Kings. Mike Jagasar has crowned the New Jersey Devils the champions of the offseason.
This is incredible.
How does it feel, Mike?
It feels awful, but it's just the logic, the reasoning. It's there. The moves are there. I hate to do it. I really, really hate to do it. But props where kudos is due. Unfortunately.
Noted New Jersey Devil.
Oh
lover.
my God, we're not doing this.
Added to the teams that he loves.
No,
So,
I
guys-
only have a certain list of teams I love.
Yeah.
This is it. We were very negative this time around. The disaster.
We were so negative.
We had let's compare it to last one. Like, how many disasters did we have before?
We had two. That was, oh my goodness. We were.
Wait, go back.
Oof.
Look how many status quo we had.
And we
In
called it the
comparison to-
Minnesota tier. Yeah. So compared to last year, we had three champions of the offseason that won. So I'll start from the bottom to the top. The disasters: Buffalo, Calgary, Vancouver, San Jose, Chicago, and Montreal. The step backs: Carolina, Columbus, Edmonton, Minnesota, Nashville, the Rangers, Ottawa, Tampa, Toronto, Vegas Capitals. The status quo teams: Anaheim. Congratulations, right where you want to be. St. Louis, the Islanders, Dallas, Colorado, Boston, the step forward teams, Arizona, Detroit, Florida, Philly, Pittsburgh, the Jets, the fabulous off seasons, LA and Seattle, and your champions of the off season, the New Jersey Devils. Congratulations, New Jersey.
Wow.
You've got a New Yorker in his blood.
Screw
And
you,
you were-
New Jersey.
Okay.
The only thing you're good for is Tony Soprano.
Okay. And with that, we will very quickly, I mean, like very quickly, we will finish off the show by doing our third annual 2-on-1 podcast award show of prestige and honor. Very quickly, I will go, then Alex, then Daniel, then Mike. Alex,
Yes.
who are your early Stanley Cup champs?
I think they could do it three-peat. The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Daniel.
Colorado Avalanche.
Okay. Mike.
It's tough for me. It's between Tampa and Colorado. I know. No. I know you told me to think about it last night, but it's hard because we're thinking the path they got to go through. I am going to put down Tampa.
I have said the New York Islanders.
I hate you.
I know you.
I hate you.
I thought Mike was going to say the Rangers.
Rangers are not even going to make the playoffs at this point.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to. We
Chris
won't try
Drury
and
is
do.
letting me down.
We won't do a standing thing. MVP. I've chosen. Finally, Nathan McKinnon's going to get it.
I went Connor McDavid.
Fair enough.
I got Nathan McKinnon.
Okay. Good man. Good man. Mike?
Yeah, I think McDavid's magic is just too insane to say no.
Okay.
I mean, if Colorado has a breakthrough this year, actually, you know what? Yeah, no, I think it should go to McKinnon. I think this year will be his year.
Excellent. Selkie, I've gone Alexander Barkov again. I think this is the first time in our predictions I've not said Patrice Bergeron.
Probably. I said Mark Stone. I said I think he finally deserves it. And also Vegas didn't really upgrade on a center, so he's still the defensively responsible winger.
I also said Alex Barkov. I think he's going to repeat.
Excellent. Mike.
What?
No, I messed up. Mike, go ahead.
You told me Tim?
No, I said Dan again by accident.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Tim. I was like, who the
All right,
hell
hurry
is
up, Tim from New York.
I will go with Barkov.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing a trend here. Norris, which again, for this show's sake, is offensive defenseman of the year. I said Cale Makar.
I also said Cale Makar.
I said Cale Makar.
Yeah.
And Mike
Yeah.
also said Cale Makar.
I mean, I think Victor Hedman has been dethroned.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Defensive defenseman of the year, which we call the Fulton Reed Trophy. I've got my boy Jared Spurgeon.
Jared Spurgeon for defensive defenseman of the year.
I actually went with Jonas Brodin.
Nice.
Same team, different player.
How about Jacob Slavin?
Fair enough.
Good show.
Oof, this is a hard one. I didn't realize that. I'm going to go with.
I think Mike didn't do this ahead of time.
100%.
I read Norris. I completely missed the defensive D one. I will go with hot take Philip Myers.
Okay, fair enough.
Hot take.
Very athletic.
Okay, cool.
My biggest hot take ever.
The Vezina Trophy with some legitimate defense now. I'm saying Connor Hellebuck gets a second one.
I'm going with Andre Vasilevsky. I think he's going to take it personal that 4 people left him off the ballot last year and completely kill it.
I'm going to say UC Saros, but he's going to have like a 2002 Jose Theodore type of year where, it's a depleted roster, but he just is lights out.
Imagine they're the wild card and like Chicago have this great year
hype.
and he just pulls a Pekka Rinne. Mike, who's your Vezina Trophy winner?
I'm still going with Vasilevsky. He's the best goalie in the league now.
Fair enough. The goal scoring title, I said Austin Matthews.
So did I.
I said Mikko Rantanen.
Ooh. Okay, those are interesting. We see Randon was there all year. No one talked about it. Pasternak's a really good one. He won it with Ovi a couple years ago, didn't he? Was that
he tied it?
It was the short year. It was the COVID year.
The scoring title, I've gone with McDavid.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. I put Leon Draisaitl.
Nice.
So he can win the fake MVP again.
Yeah. Coach of the year, I went with Barry Trotz because I just whatever.
I did too.
I went with John Cooper.
I'm going to go with John Cooper.
Okay.
Because I haven't predicted to win I haven't predicted to be a cup winner. So
yeah. Okay. Breakout player of the year, Jack Hughes. I think he's due for a big one.
I think Mike will like this answer. I picked Alexis Lafreniere because he didn't have a great rookie season, and hopefully, if the Rangers can get Eichel or just him personally, just take steps forward and be the first overall pick that we all expected him to be.
Okay.
I picked Nico Hischier.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're sticking with the Hudson River.
Good. Michael, who is your breakout star of the year?
Okay. I have a wild card.
Okay.
I was going to go with Lafreniere from a bias perspective.
Okay.
But after further thinking, and this is going to be a bit of a hot take, Adam Boquist.
That's a solid one, actually. That's a very solid one, Mike. I'll give you that. That's very good.
Thank you.
Okay, your biggest letdown? I've gone with a team, and I'm saying it's going to be the Washington Capitals.
I went with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Fair enough.
I went with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Okay.
Oh, that is such a good one. I didn't think about that.
I was gonna go with Chicago because I can't see like all these moves happening with them having no depth and then just like not making the playoffs after doing all this, and then Bowman finally gets fired.
And we'll finish off with the rookie of the year. I mean, like
Cole Caulfield. No.
No.
We all,
Cole
I mean,
Caulfield.
I have Cole Caulfield, so I assume
Daniel.
Adam does as well.
I have Quinton Byfield.
Ooh,
I remember that.
you have Quinton Byfield.
Yeah, I had Cole. Yeah, of course I did. Guy's wicked, like legitimately a wicked player. I think that's everything.
Well,
Yeah.
Mike
Mike didn't say his.
Oh yeah, you was going go Caulfield.
Oh, are you going Cole Caulfield?
No, I
Oh.
it is between Byfield and Caulfield for me.
Fair.
But I think it's going to go to Caulfield.
Okay. Yeah,
I think this is just his to lose at this
I'm
point.
happy that you had us at the end of that rope there.
Yeah.
Like on the edge of my seat for you there, Mike. All right, looking at the doc, yeah. We talked a bit about Kachuk last year. Just get that freaking thing done. We talked about Mikheyev, Eichel moved over. Okay, yeah, that's everything. Okay, well, we need real news now because we are out of content ideas now. Like the tier list was the last thing. So
We'll bring back the quiz.
I mean, we've been waiting for the quiz.
We're waiting for you.
I need to defend my title.
Okay.
We're waiting. Okay. So
What quiz did you do? What are you talking about?
it was
Are you
just-
doing like those bar down quizzes?
No, we did Leafs Habs from 2015 onwards.
I know exactly what quizzes you're talking about, actually.
yeah, well,
Those are so
No,
hard.
Daniel made the questions up.
Oh, I thought you were doing like one of those sports quizzes. Wow,
No,
Dan made the okay.
no,
If Dan made the
Dan-
questions, it's impossible to answer.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
the only reason I won is because Alex actually gave away one of the answers. Because it was like, I think actually I got all the Habs ones, probably -1. Alex got like all of the Leafs ones -1, but he went, I think it was like Dominic Moore, and you're like, oh, I know this is him. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I kind of screwed myself.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening or watching to this episode of 2-1 Podcast. Yeah, Mike's here. Thanks for coming, Mike.
Why are you saying it like that? It's just it sounds like this is a game show.
It is a
2000,
game
2000, doing bid in 2000, 25, 25, and hour and freaking 45 minutes we've been going here, boys. Okay, and that's it.
Except on Storage Wars.
Yeah,
All right.
Yup. I'm going to yell yup and get nothing done. All right, Mike, seriously, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's always good to see you.
It's always good to see you.
Yeah, can't wait for next time we actually see each other in person. And can't wait to what are the plans? We're still all gonna meet up and watch this Leaf series together.
Everyone is invited
Okay, good.
so that we can just throw tomatoes at the TV.
I mean, I'll be cheering for it because I know it's obvious,
Yeah, well, you know what? No one asked you.
Yeah, well, I do the outro, so I have control here. Voice ad's pretty sick. Great platform as always for the show. Congratulations to New Jersey via Mike there. That was pretty sick. Check out TikTok. Check out all that stuff. Give us a ratings on Apple Podcasts. That's pretty sick. Not over the person who gave us 2 stars, whoever you are. Check out Daniel's stuff for CJRU. Check out Alex's blog, all of Mike's stuff, your gubs. You want to plug that quickly, Mike, everything you're doing?
Wow, you put me on the spot. See my stuff at the shift at TSN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
And besides that, I think we're done. My YouTube channel, Cocky Enemy video, go watch that.